The Silent Doll's House. In a forgotten suburb on the outskirts of a crumbling old city stood a mansion so sinister that even the bravest dared not approach it. Locals called it the Silent Doll's House. For more than 30 years, the property had been abandoned, swallowed by weeds and darkness. Legends clung to it like cobwebs, strange lights flickering in its windows despite having no power, whispers of children's cries carried on the wind, and silhouettes lurking behind curtains, watching passers-by. Laila, a young woman with a passion for photography and urban exploration, had heard of the mansion from her grandmother. The old woman's face had gone pale at its mention, and she had warned Laila with trembling hands never to go near it. But Laila wasn't easily scared. She had filmed abandoned schools, underground tunnels, even decrepit hospitals rumored to be haunted. The mansion, she thought, would be her ultimate triumph, a viral sensation. On a bitterly cold evening, she packed her camera gear, a lantern, and a crowbar, just in case, and drove toward the forgotten neighborhood. The deeper she drove into the night, the stranger the world felt. Streetlights flickered out one by one as she passed, and fog curled low over the cracked asphalt roads. Finally, she arrived. The mansion loomed like a corpse of architecture, its towering frame skeletal, its paint stripped away, and its windows shattered like blind eyes. The rusted iron gates groaned in protest as she pushed them open, their screech cutting through the silence like a scream. She crossed the yard, crunching over brittle weeds. The air smelled of rot and stagnant water. The house seemed to watch her, its broken shutters swinging softly in the cold wind. Laila approached the large wooden door. Its red paint had peeled to reveal grey, splintered wood beneath. She knocked. The sound echoed unnaturally, like knocking on an empty coffin. Taking a deep breath, she pushed it open. The door groaned, revealing a hallway swallowed in darkness. Dust motes floated in the air like ashes. The smell was overpowering. Dampness, mold, and something metallic like dried blood. She stepped inside, her lantern beam cutting through the gloom, and the door slammed shut behind her. She froze, heart pounding. The echo of the door reverberated unnaturally, as though the house itself was sighing. Shaking off the unease, she began recording. The hallway stretched endlessly, lined with crooked picture frames and faded wallpaper peeling in curls. The floorboards creaked beneath her boots. She stopped when she noticed something on a shelf at the end of the corridor. A porcelain doll. It was small, dressed in a delicate white gown yellowed with age. Its glass eyes, gleaming in the lantern light, stared straight into her soul. Laila chuckled nervously. "Is this the famous haunted doll?" she whispered, her voice barely audible over the sound of her own heartbeat. She reached out and picked it up. The doll's cracked eyelid made one glassy eye appear to wander. Without thinking, she slipped it into her bag, a trophy. But as soon as she turned away, the air seemed to grow heavier. Her skin prickled. She swore she heard soft breathing behind her. Then came a giggle, a faint, childlike laugh drifting from above. Her breath hitched. She spun around, shining her lantern up the staircase, but saw only darkness. "Hello!" she called out, her voice trembling. No reply. Against her better judgment, she climbed the stairs. Each step groaned like a dying animal. The second floor was freezing, her breath visible in the beam of her lantern. She reached a hallway lined with closed doors. She opened the first door. Inside was a nursery, frozen in time, a small bed with shredded blankets, a rocking horse with one missing eye, and walls covered in crayon drawings of stick figures. None of the figures had faces. Suddenly, the door slammed behind her. She jumped, spinning around. The doorknob wouldn't turn. Something scraped against the floor. She turned back. A headless teddy bear had slid across the room, as if pushed by unseen hands. Laila yanked the door with all her strength and it burst open. She bolted down the hallway, heart hammering. But the hall seemed endless. She ran and ran, yet the doors all looked the same. Then faint footsteps echoed behind her. She turned. A small figure stood at the far end of the hall. It was a child, its head bowed, its face obscured in shadow. "Give it back," the child whispered. Layla's voice trembled. "Give what back?" But the figure vanished. A door creaked open at the end of the hallway, revealing a staircase descending into pitch blackness. Something cold brushed her back, urging her forward. Against her instincts, she descended. The basement was suffocating. The air smelled of mildew and something sickly sweet like rotting flowers. She swept her lantern around and froze. Hundreds of porcelain dolls lined the shelves. Each one wore tattered, antique dresses. Some had missing limbs. Others had hair made from real human strands, yellowed with age. Their glass eyes reflected her light, following her. She crept deeper into the basement. The dolls' faces seemed to twist slightly in the flickering light, their expressions warped. Suddenly, one doll toppled from a shelf. It shattered. Inside, embedded in the shards, was a human tooth. Laila gagged. She stumbled back, and then she heard breathing. Heavy, raspy breathing behind her. She turned. A woman stood there. She wore a tattered white gown stained with something dark. Her hair was long, black and tangled, covering half her face. Her other eye glowed red like a burning coal. "Give me back my doll," she rasped, her voice like nails dragging across glass. Layla's blood ran cold. She tore open her bag to retrieve the doll, but her bag was empty. The doll was gone. Suddenly, icy fingers clamped around her throat. She choked, clawing at her neck as the woman lifted her slightly off the ground. The dolls around them began to move, heads turning, limbs twitching. Their eyes glowed red. A chorus of children's laughter filled the basement, overlapping into a deafening cacophony. The spirit's face twisted into a grotesque smile as she whispered in Layla's ear, "You'll join my collection." Laila tried to scream, but no sound came out. The dolls slid from their shelves and crawled toward her on tiny hands and feet. Their porcelain faces cracked open, revealing jagged teeth. The ghost pressed her icy palm to Layla's face. Her skin burned like frostbite. Darkness swallowed her vision. Weeks later, the mansion remained silent. Layla's camera was found lying just outside the rusted gate. Police reviewed the footage. The last clip showed Laila screaming silently, surrounded by moving dolls. The audio was distorted, filled with high-pitched giggles and whispers. Her voice was never heard again. Locals say that at night, if you pass the mansion, you'll see her standing in the upstairs window, clutching a porcelain doll. Her face is pale and her eyes are hollow, but she watches every passerby, silently waiting for someone foolish enough to enter. Those who linger too long swear they hear her whisper, "Give it back." And then, sometimes, the gates creak open on their own.